Oman for a few years now. I've been working closely with SMEs, startups, entrepreneurs, doing some advisory works. I see a lot of familiar faces here, people I've coached, people I've worked on business development plans with. And I truly see a lot of potential in, should I get this around? I'll do it. It's not showing on the, yeah, all right. And I honestly see a lot of potential in Omani SMEs and entrepreneurs and what have you, just setting the stage right for now. So today we will be talking about the sharing economy, the power of crowdsourcing. And in order to do that, we need to answer a few questions together. So let's start with the easiest question. Do you know what this is? Everybody knows what potato salad is? You've had it, you've tried it, at least you know what the basic principle is? Okay. Okay, I have a fan here. Okay, I'm going to pick on you for the rest of the presentation. How much would you pay for a potato salad? I like you, because I was going to charge 1 riyal. So. Okay, so everybody's prepared to pay 1 riyal for like a small thingy of potato salad? No? 500 pesos. So we're starting to see. All right. I'm sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your name? Maryam. So I have Maryam and we have Najah. Okay, so here's somebody who's willing to pay 1.8 riyals and I have a 0.5. So let's say I want to make potato salad. And honestly, I've never made potato salad before. And if you know me, you know this is true because I don't cook. That's considered cooking. All right? So here's the deal. I call on you, few of my other friends, and I tell you, you know what? I'm going to make some potato salad. And I need your help. So if you pay me half a riyal, you're not going to get to taste it. But you know what? I'm going to YouTube myself while I'm making this potato salad and give you a shout out. I'm going to say, sorry, Maryam? Maryam was instrumental in the making of this potato salad. But she will get invited to taste it. I don't know if that's good or bad because I'm making it. But she will get invited. So if I give you this proposition, I'm going to tell you you can pay anywhere between half a riyal to 1 riyal to join in this potato salad movement. How many of you would be willing to pay this half a riyal just for the fun of it? And you get your name on YouTube. If you pay 3 riyals, maybe you'll get a T-shirt that says, I survived Duha's potato salad. Didn't go to the ER. See more hands? So basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I made 15 riyals for a half a riyal potato salad. Well, 2 riyals potato salad. I made 15 riyals already. So again, what is this? This is actually 50,000 US dollars. Because there's a person who did on the internet what I just told you, and they collected 50,000 US dollars to make potato salad. I'm not making this up. Let's go back a little bit and tell you that real story. This gentleman, his name is Zach Danger Brown. You can Google him, okay? It sounds like a funny name, Zach Danger Brown, like out of a cowboy movie or something. But he's a real guy. And he went on a platform called Kickstarter. What Kickstarter is a website for people. They put their business ideas, and they see if you're interested in funding them. And it's not for equity. You actually don't get shares in the company. It's just like I said, you get a shout out or a T-shirt, or if they're creating a new device, like you'll be one of the early adopters, depending on the donation that you want. And he went there for fun. He just wanted to see what a potato salad would do on a site like Kickstarter. And his goal was to collect $10. I'm sorry you cannot see this, but the site uses gray. Anyways, his goal was to collect $10. That's what he wanted. That campaign, the purpose was to collect $10. He ended up collecting $55,000. The interesting thing is that turned into a national event because luckily this guy was in the state of Idaho, which is famous for their potato. And then Hellman Mayonnaise jumped into it because you need mayonnaise to make potato salad. And they sponsored a big potato salad event, and all the money went to charity, actually. But this is the power of the crowd. This is the untapped resource that you have under your fingertips. And like I said, Kickstarter is not for potato salad. People actually collect real money. And this is like one of the mediocre campaigns that only collected $650,000. What about this part of the world? Do you think we have anything similar in crowdfunding? We're starting to see it. See, the funny thing about crowdfunding is it's not regulated yet. So we're starting to see attempts, trials in parts of the world. This Aflamuna started in Dubai, and they've been successful in collecting around $400,000 for nearly 100 projects. Okay? And it concentrates on a specific area, which is the arts and the animation and all that. We have Zumal, which is operating out of Lebanon. They also have a very good story to tell. And here's a snapshot from their website. You can see they've been able to collect between $60,000 to $187,000 and so on. And they serve the Levant area in general. We have something called Yumkin. This is operating out of Egypt. And this is only for socially friendly business ventures. Liwa is operating out of Jordan, targeted to a specific category of SMEs. And then we also have the cooperation of Eureka and Dubai FDI, which is more of an investor outlet. So if you're a business in Europe, and you want to come to operate out of Dubai or out of the Gulf, it connects you with the Gulf investors and vice versa. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Remember I asked you about something called the sharing economy. See, the thing is, it's beyond crowdfunding. It's not about the money like somebody mentioned earlier. It's never only about the money. A lot of successful businesses never got funding. They bootstrapped the entire operation. What is happening is the way we're doing business is changing. The business model, the business paradigm is being challenged. So these are terms you're going to be hearing a lot of, if you haven't already, which is sharing is the new shopping, collaborative consumption, collaborative economy, and the sharing economy. And it all goes to the power of the crowd. And the landscape of this sharing economy is already crowded. And I will not have time to talk about all of them, so I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and we will take it from there. Have you heard of Uber? Has anybody here used Uber before? Oh, excellent. So you know what it is. Uber is a mobile app. It's not a taxi company. Okay? It's not a car. It's a mobile app that you download on your mobile. And what you do when you want a ride, you ask for a ride, and you can sign up as a driver also. So you can drive in your free time. If you're a university student on your summer break, whatever, you can enlist as a driver. People laughed at this idea, basically, when it started. But there is a company called NetBase that does something called brand sentiment. And in the brand sentiment, Uber ranked as the most loved car service, even though they are a mobile app, by the way. I still insist they're a mobile app. Okay? And the problem with Uber is that it's killing the car industry. Because think about it. How many of you have cars here? How much do you use your car? A day. How many hours? So a few of us are unfortunate to keep computing. A lot of us, we have the car. We go to the office. It's parked there for 8 hours. We don't use it, okay? Or I'm sitting at home, I'm bored, I have nothing to do, and so on. See, the thing is, a properly shared car equals 9 cars of our regular daily use. So if you say a car averages around $30,000, so every properly shared car, be it through Uber or something called Lyft or other car sharing services, costs the auto industry around $270,000 in auto sales. So Uber is not only hurting the car industry, the taxi industry, they're hurting the car industry as well. Because people are stopping to buy cars where Uber is becoming a prevalent service, especially in countries where they used to use public transport to begin with. Owning a car was not that big of a deal. It's becoming less of big of a deal. If you look at its effect, in San Francisco, and this is a snapshot because San Francisco, Silicon Valley, and this is where we gauge all these new things, they're really hurting the taxi industry. They're fighting for survival. They're losing 65% of their business. And if you want to look closely at numbers, between January of 2012 until July of 2014, the average number of trips per car for taxis, for regulated taxis, went down from around 1,400 to almost 400. And that's with the introduction of Uber. We'll get back to Uber again, but let's talk about another example. Airbnb. Anybody knows about Airbnb? Perfect. Have you used it? All right, I'm so glad. Okay, again, Airbnb is like your hotel without having a hotel. Again, it's a mobile app. It's a website. I want to go on vacation. I don't want to stay in a hotel. I want the experience of being in a house or even in a boat. Because this is the cute things about Airbnb. It gives you more options. You don't have to stay in a standard hotel, okay? The other advantage of it is, let's say so I'm here, I'm working in Oman. My home in Jordan is sitting idle. I could be making money off of it, okay? You have a vacation home that you made investment in when buying was good a few years before the economical crisis. We all went and bought real estate all over the world thinking it was the smart thing to do. And now we're just paying taxes on it, right? So you can use it. Again, on brand sentiment, it surpasses all the big hotels with apologies because we are in a hotel, so I'm gonna move quickly. Okay. In a study done by Boston University, it says that for every 1% increase in the number of Airbnb bookings, there is a 0.05% decrease in hotel revenues worldwide. See, here is the thing about the sharing economy. It's asset light. Uber, you think of it as a taxi service, they don't own a single car. They don't employ a single driver. They just facilitated for people to exchange services, okay? Same thing with Airbnb. The old model of building a hotel is asset heavy. You need a building, you need beds, you need chairs, tables, and you need to take care of all of that. While in Airbnb, you just need to list your property. To put things in perspective, let's pick on Hilton since we're not in Hilton. okay? It took Hilton 93 years to build 600,000 rooms in 88 countries. It took Airbnb 4 years only to amass to 650,000 rooms in 192 countries. So that's just like somebody who's like killing the hotels fast. They don't know what's hitting them. And people are preferring Airbnb for so many reasons. The other reason, I'm sorry this is not clear, but the other reason people like Airbnb, because it's not a hotel. So they need all these supporting services. So they're creating a huge ecosystem of SMEs around them. So let's say I have a vacation home in Spain that I want to rent, but I'm here. So I'm working with all these little services, somebody that keeps the house clean, somebody just does the key exchange, like give the keys to my tenants when they arrive and take it from them. We have small businesses that actually doing background checks, because you're not going to just let anybody in your home. Again, you're not a hotel. So Airbnb is becoming very popular because not only it's allowing me to reinvest or make more money of my property and share it, it's creating an ecosystem, a healthy ecosystem of small businesses that are working in the area and making it prosper. The lending club. People are starting to borrow money from each other. They don't need banks. With all due respect to bankers who are here today, I don't know if they're still with us or not, but instead of me going to bank X and Y, I'm actually borrowing money from people on the internet. Maybe I'm paying a little bit more interest, but it's an easier way to get the money. And the lending club has been making a lot of buzz that Citicorp are thinking of allying with them or actually allied with them, because they're hurting banks. Liquid space is a way where SMEs are sharing their office space. So I'm an SME. I have this office. I ended up renting it. I only need one room of it. I'm offering the space either for people who are in town for business for 1 or 2 hours and so on. This is one of my favorite sharing or collaborative economy things. It's called Yurdle. And this is like neighborhood location-based, where like everything in my house, I can put in this site, okay? And you can borrow my kid's bike if you want it for a little bit, or you have a party, or you're babysitting someone. You're not going to buy a whole bag of toys, just for an hour. So you can buy it. Now, to put things in perspective, let me tell you a little story. When I first arrived in Oman, like I rented my place, and I wanted to make it feel homey, I needed to hang a few pictures, family, friends, things that makes an apartment feel homey. So what did I need? I needed a drill to hang the pictures on the wall. So I went and I bought a drill. Did I use it after that one time? I have a few stitches from the emergency room that will tell you how I used it. But the thing is, I really didn't need a drill. I needed a hole in the wall. That's what I needed. And if somebody would have rented me a drill, I would have rented a drill. And if actually they offered to pay and come and even do the hole, I would have paid more, even more than what the drill's worth, because I would have saved my finger. So, why is this happening? This is a trend. This is a global trend that's overtaking it, and it's slowly coming our way. You might not feel it, but it's slowly coming our way. A lot of businesses, a lot of people are collaborating in the internet because we have no border. The reason this is happening, we have three main reasons: societal factor, economic factors, and technology factors. Societal, the millennials, the buzzword. They have a different mindset than we have. Ownership doesn't mean much to them, okay? They need the convenience. They need the thing done. If I can get a car that will get me from point A to point B, and actually I don't have to worry about parking because somebody will come and get it, and I don't have to worry about tax and gas and insurance, okay? Why not? okay? Ownership is not part of their agenda. Convenience, getting the things done, coupled with the messed up economical situation they have to deal with, and the climate crisis, and. So they look at it from a different point of view of reducing waste, because instead of like 100 cars polluting the street, if we share car properly, we're cutting down 9 cars per 10 people, because we said one properly shared car equals 9 cars. So there are so many factors that are driving the younger generation to adopt this collaborative platform, not only for funding, but for getting everything else done. The technology. Me and Said Adham were discussing this earlier about the millennials, and every generation have their claim to fame. We invented the internet, we did what? Well, Uber or Airbnb wouldn't have been feasible a few years back because we didn't have these smart little devices called mobile phone, or this great invention called the internet, or the websites that will allow us to do this connectivity. So the technology is helping in this disruption, or that change in the business model or the way we do things. We're more connected. We're no longer constricted by the boundaries of the geographical area we're operating out of. So if you are offering an app and you put it on the App Store, be it Google or Apple App Store, your target clients are not in Oman only. You're targeting the world, okay? So this convenience, this technology is allowing us to rethink the business model. And again, it's millennials who are challenging this business model because they are sick of not being able to get funds from the bank. So they decided, let's try Kickstarter. Let's try to fund each other's. I'll fund you today, you'll fund me tomorrow. And it's this collaborative thing. I cannot afford a car because I don't know, again, I need to qualify for a loan. Let's share our cars, okay? And it is a tidal wave. If you look at the numbers, and unfortunately, I could only get the numbers from 2013, but shared economy-based companies are actually even more liked by investors. So when investors have a choice to invest in a startup, and I'm talking again Silicon Valley, they would prefer to invest in a business that is built on this collaborative model. So basically, if you look at these numbers, a typical startup in Silicon Valley, the average investment is 29 million. Okay, I'm saying average startup, that means they've been through the rounds, you know, they've been through the acceleration, proof of concept, and so on. While if you look at Uber, Lyft, which is similar to Uber, and Airbnb, the investment was 50 million, 83 million, and 130 million. So not only they are more popular, okay, the investors like them more. The people are wanting to fund them, because when I fund Airbnb in my area, that means I'm creating this ecosystem of small businesses that will flourish around Airbnb. So I'll ask you again, are you ready for the sharing economy? Exactly. Because the question really is not, are you ready for the sharing economy? Are you ready for the crowd to become part of your company? You're an SME. How many startups or SMEs or people who are thinking of starting their businesses here? Okay. You're struggling with resources, correct? You say you cannot find talent, you cannot find people to hire, you're struggling with funding. We all know the traditional struggles of SMEs, which we discussed yesterday if you were with us here in the various panels. So instead of hiring someone, why don't you reach for the crowd? It's not volunteer work, okay? You're not asking people to do your work for free. Pay them. But they don't have to be a regular employee. There are networks for that. Get the fund from people who believe in you, and they're getting the recognition. People like the recognition. Like I was saying the other day, I've been working for over 20 years, and still my only claim to fame is that I was part of the team that developed Maktoob that was later acquired by Yahoo. And that happened like 20 years ago. But I still brag about it because that's my claim to fame. And I would have paid money just to say I was part of that. People like that, the sense of pride, okay? They like it. And big companies are realizing it. There's a consortium forming called Crowd Companies, which is a brand council for collaborative economy. Our mission, empowered people and resilient brands to achieve shared value. You know who are the members? They're big players. They're feeling the crunch. Sharing economy, collaborative economy is hurting big business. So you as SMEs, you're more agile. You can move quicker. You can shift your business model without all the problem these people have. To change like big organization with policies and procedures and the way they do business, and they have to do this mind shift to go into a collaborative mode. You can do it in an easier way. There's a site called Upwork where you actually can log in, post a job. Let's say you have a development company and you want to develop a program. And you've broken it into small modules, and you can post that job, bits of pieces of the code, because maybe you don't want somebody to see your big and great idea. I know SMEs have this, like my ideas I don't want to share. So break it up and post it. And there are like programmers on that side that will jump, that will tell you, I'll do this for you for $100. And you don't know where they're sitting, they're programming. There could be a 12-year-old kid who's a genius in coding. You don't care, you just want this piece of code, okay? There's a website a few years back called Threadless. I don't know if anybody heard of it. Threadless, they used to do t-shirts. And they had this competition, okay? If you give us a nice design for a t-shirt or a nice logo and we pick your t-shirt, you get 50 t-shirts free, and they start selling it online. People in the design, in the architecture, you can throw these things. You can actually request designs. You don't have to have them sitting residents with you, okay? And this is just one of the examples. The thing is, like you said, it's an issue of trust, okay? And this is where the collaborative economy is great, because all these sites, they have rating. Now, before we book a hotel, we go into, I don't know, Trivago, Expedia, we read all the reviews. I no longer look at the website, because most of the hotel's website, except for like the standard 5 stars, the picture and the website is one thing, and the reality is something completely different. How many of you just booked something and like you're looking at the brochure and looking at the room, it's like, huh? Okay? You read the reviews. It's a trust-based system. Everybody wants to help each other. So when all these sites, they give you this factor, like this I dealt with this developer, and if they give me a hard time, I'm gonna make sure to go and write a review about them. So nobody else would hire them again. But if they give me a good job, I will promote them, and so on. It is a trust-based system. There's also another site on the net that's called Quirky. And Quirky, if you have an idea, a prototype, it could be some idea you're thinking of implementing. You don't have to have the money or whatever. Like you said, it can be from cardboard, just a concept. And if they pick it up, there's a certain arrangement that it will go into production. They'll either pay you for the idea or shared revenue. You know who's behind it? Big names: General Electric, Mattel, Poppy. Big companies are moving into this collaborative and sharing economy. I still stress, you can do it easier. You can do it faster. You're agile. And it's simple. You can do one of 3 things. You can either offer your company as a service. Productization is a thing of the future. There are few people making products, let's share them. BMW, Renault. BMW in San Francisco actually has turned into a car rental, not a showroom. You can actually walk into BMW, so-called showroom in San Francisco, and rent a car for 4 hours, not even for a day. Okay? They're doing this. They have no other choice. Okay? Or you change your company as a marketplace. Okay? So it's not only a service, you're allowing people to collaborate, and you're getting a cut. Okay? The fourth thing is your company as a platform, and this is when you become something like Kickstarter, you're the platform, okay? Or you're like the funding places or whatever. So I think that concludes. I just want to leave you a few thoughts. It's all about collaboration. It's about sharing. Sources are becoming scarce in the entire world. We have an economic crunch, whether we admit to it or not, or how fast it gets here. So we better rethink the way we do business. And thank you, and if you have any questions.
A lot of lawyers are being outsourced. Big firms are finding that their models are no longer working the way they do. However, one of the things that worries me, especially in our part of the world, is the lack, I hate to say it, regulation in this area. We've had experiences with financial arrangements, jam'iyat, and unfortunately, lack of support, lack of clear legislation has meant that they have failed miserably. Again, trust was not enough. There has to be a legal framework, especially in a sharing arrangement, collaborative. IP, it's a huge issue in Oman, where we still struggle with SMEs not realizing what is their intellectual property, how to protect it. And I think it'll be useful to hear a little bit about some of the institutional arrangements from the other side. We're talking from legislator and legal issues that are still lacking in our part of the world, and in Oman specifically. You know, when you ask businesses and SMEs to venture out into this realm, there has to be at least an inkling that, all right, whatever idea you're going to put there is not going to be stolen by someone. If it is stolen by someone, how are you going to protect yourself? If you're going to crowdfund a project, it's technically illegal here in Oman to ask people for money in an unofficial channel. However, people still do it to some extent. But how do I trust that the person is not going to scam me anyway at the end of the day? These are the issues I worry less about in other countries. Not because they have the right regulation, but they have laws that protect people against things when they go wrong. Uber, for example, is being challenged in certain countries where whomever they're sourcing, the law might consider them as employees even if they're not. Uber might have to pay in certain countries medical benefits and insurance. Take, for example, the example you've given, the car and the savings on the car. If I'm going to outsource something like that or crowdsource something like that, who's responsible to pay for the insurance? Right? Unfortunately, we've got a lot of rigidities in our system that we need to be mindful when we ask businesses to start to share resources. You know, a very good example of crowdsourcing or using resources was, for example, Warren Buffett was one of the people, many people who had his private jet and thought it was not, you know, it doesn't make sense to have it sitting on a tarmac for such a long time. So he's one of the people who could afford to have one and not worry, but he started time sharing this idea. So just your thoughts on some of the caveats to businesses as I'm asking them to look at this model as a potential business model that they need to consider today. What are the things they need to also be careful of when dealing with other businesses, even if it's all in good faith?
Okay, that's too many questions in one, but I'll try to take them according to my memory. We'll start with the regulation. In all honesty, crowdfunding specifically, crowdsourcing and sharing of resources has picked up in the West before crowdfunding. Crowdfunding became a big thing after the Job Act that Obama passed in 2012, I think, which was allowing the donation or giving money to SMEs and startups with certain regulation and certain cap and it's tax deductible, and it's not considered as money laundering, or it goes into the Terrorist Act and all the national. So yes, there was some sort of legislative that helped this pick up in the US. We need to find the formula that works better for our part of the world, because whatever experience that is happening in the US not necessarily translatable to our part of the world. In Germany, for example, it's the banks. The banks are building their own crowdfunding platforms, because it's a different kind of regulation. So you can actually go have an account with some of the banks, and it's called like a sharing account, where people pitch ideas to the bank, and you circulate the money within your clientele. So I cannot presume to be the expert that will say how you will legalize it here. Few brains need to come together to find the formula that works. Intellectual property is tricky, because people usually who seek crowdfunding, specifically crowdfunding, they have ideas, or if you like, go to Kickstarter, they've already have been doing it for a while. They're not afraid of someone stealing their ideas. They would actually show you videos of the prototype, okay? So, and some of them even registered certain patents to the idea before you show it to the public. So yes, there are certain measures that you can protect yourself with before posting your idea to the public. But the thing is, you have to start. We have to start, and again, it's a collaborative effort, and that's why I throw this in every forum or every joint discussion where I get the chance to do it, because we will need the SMEs, we will need the legislators, we will need the businesses to come together and think of what works for our country, basically. Because again, there's no magical formula that will serve everybody, and if it works there, it wouldn't work here. Dubai went a different route. They've allied themselves with one of the big funders, and it's just investor-based. It's not actual crowdfunding. In like Lebanon, Jordan, the Levant, it's less regulated, so they're able to get by with it with people actually making donations, but it's purely donation-based. It's not equity-based. You just need to find the formula. But we need to start. And my belief is that we need to start, because you'll be left behind. The whole world will be operating under one business model, and we're still operating under a different one, and it just doesn't fly this way. Any other questions? I'll leave it to the mic people. I guess that's the safest bet.
Hello, thanks for the presentation. It was excellent. My name is Abbas. I'm from Global Scientific. We are a service provider for various testing instruments. And if you want to collaborate with the local support or service providers, I mean, like the laws here in Ministry of Manpower that if you're working for someone else, you will breach the contract of your employee. So how it's possible for us to create a platform when their rules are in such that you cannot work outside your contract, whatever it is?
Okay, again, it will come back to finding a formula that works for every geography and every country. Now, let's say I'm hired as a consultant by a consulting firm, but I'm good actually at playing the guitar. So if in my free time I go and play a concert, I don't think that's a conflict of interest, huh? I don't think Creativity will fire me for playing the guitar at a kid's birthday party and getting money for it. So you need to find the formula. Certainly, crowdsourcing is also not meant for people who have jobs. Again, sorry, I'm going to pick on you, but we're still thinking with the Generation X mentality that I have my stable job, but I want to do something on the side. Okay? This entire movement is made by millennials. They actually don't have a job. He's sitting out of his bedroom or that small apartment, and he's grabbing a piece of code from here, a piece of code there. He has this little card that he uses for Uber. they're free agents. They're not actually hired or breaching any contracts, and that's the way of living that they're adopting. It's non-conventionals because they get bored easily. And we're discussing that. Their attention span is different, and they need so many things to keep them interested. And they are the early adopters of such technologies. If we're gonna transform it into people doing part-time work or extracurricular after their work, then yes, you need to iron out the legislative part of it. Okay. I have a question here.
Hi, Duha.
Hi.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm on a buzz right now, and I know that there's a lot of conservative views about the legislation and everything, but in true entrepreneur and millennial style, I think just go for it. And I wanted to ask you, do you know of any examples in Oman that have already started to explore this? You don't have to mention names, because we don't want to get them in jail or anything. But a yes and no, and then maybe we can have a chat later.
Actually, I've given this presentation in a different venue in Oman, and we've received a lot of interest, and there's a lot of bits and pieces here and there that I'm under NDA. The good news that it might be coming soon. Few people are thinking about it from different points of view. So some people are willing to set up some sort of like an online think tank where you're actually sharing ideas in a safe manner. Some people are considering the funding. It's just, I cannot tell you who, where, or why, but there's light at the end of the tunnel.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, but they need to hear.
Hi, thank you for the presentation you did and insight into how the world works and using apps and what potentially people can do. I might sound aggressive with my next question. We're all SMEs here already investing our time on what we're doing. What you're showing us is something new. So we came here to figure out reinvigoration for the SME market. This is not most likely to use, most likely to the event organizers. We didn't really focus on a lot of things that we're having troubles on and in the SME world here in Oman. Like, for example, nobody spoke about the oil crisis that's coming over, that's gonna completely mess us all around. I know it's not the topic you're on, but I thought I'd bring this point up because it says reinvigorating the SME market and teaching us how to figure out what to do. So it's most likely a rhetorical, hypothetical question, but I thought I'd bring it out because a lot of SMEs over here want to know how to get better.
So let me put you on the spot and be aggressive back. What kind of business you're in?
I'm an event organizer.
You're an event organizer?
Yeah, a concept creator too.
Okay. How do you run your business?
Um,
We're not having a coaching session, I promise.
Sure. A one-man army. I go around, let people know that I deliver great stuff, and if they want to use me, then I'm ready for them in my own unique style.
So you've landed a contract, you do everything? You do the setup, the stage, the emceeing,
It depends because now's low budgets with everybody, so you have to try and do everything yourself most of the time.
So can you imagine how great it is if you have an app where you can source volunteers?
Absolutely. That helps the SME world, which is great, correct?
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that. And I agree on the crowd sharing and leverage power and what people can do out there. But I was just trying to focus on the reinvigoration of us.
Okay, this is the thing. There is a crisis in the world. It's not the oil. The oil is new to the GCC countries. The crisis started in 2007 when the financial markets outside started to collapse, and that's a ripple effect because it has to get to this part of the world one way or the other, okay? And as a result, these people were in crunch for resources. People got laid off. People didn't have jobs. People had ideas but didn't know how to fund it. And this goes back to what we were talking about, innovation. Thinking outside the box, sorry to use a cliche, but it's
there is no
throwing
box.
The box.
I just say there is no box when we think.
Because you can't even afford the box anymore, unfortunately. So what you're doing is that, yes, you're true, you're right. We have a crisis, be it oil prices dropping, be it this economical crisis that is catching up with us. And we need to deal with it. And mostly, dealing with these things is shifting the business model. I'll go back to the panel yesterday where they said Apple did not innovate. Apple innovated. Because initially, when you were buying an iPhone or an iPod or whatever, you were not buying it for the device. You were buying it for the iTunes and the App Store. They've changed the business model. They were not selling you a device, they were selling you an experience, okay? So what I'm trying to say today is it doesn't have necessarily to be a copy and paste of what's happening in the West. You need to find a formula, an innovative formula, that will help you cut corners due to the crisis that you are facing or about to face or you're rightfully predicting. If I had the magical formula, I wouldn't be here.
All the best to all of us and to you too. Thank you very much.
Do we have time for one more question?
Good morning. I'm just checking the time. Yes, it's still morning. Thank you for the presentation. I found it it's important to remind ourselves the need to innovate. And I think in order to face current challenges, we need to adopt a different mindset. So innovating is another mindset among others to help us, I believe, reinvigorate the SME market. And I think it's important as well. It gives us an opportunity to think of local SMEs not only serving the local market, but to push the boundaries and think, how can local SMEs serve as well the global market? But what I'm more curious about is the commercial model. And it's something that I've personally, I'm interested in this direction, but I always find it challenging thinking of it commercially. I'm just wondering if you can share examples from those that you have shared. How did they go about generating revenue? Did they, adopt different methods and then maybe something didn't work or they tried another means of generating revenue through it? So I'd love to know more about the commercial model of such platforms. Thank you.
Okay. For lack of time, okay, there has been a lot of trials and errors. Again, Uber, like Said Adham pointed out, they haven't been successful everywhere. Their model that worked perfectly in the US, when they took it to other countries, it created big problems. Big protests in France and Germany, I do believe, where they've sometimes shut them down completely. When they operated, for example, I know the experience in Jordan, when they operated out of Jordan, they tapped into the taxi community first. They were enrolled first, then started getting the other people. It's about adaptability. And I think this is the whole point of what we're saying today. In order to survive in today's business world, you need to be agile and adaptable. And one formula that worked somewhere can be inspiration. I think for the lack of time, we can take this discussion offline because there are so many examples that we can go into. All right. Again, I think I'm taking someone else's speaking time or keeping you from your break. I'm not sure. All right. Okay, thank you very much.